Hey, this is Shodan. This is Games I Grew Up With. Today I'm going to take a look at a number of games for the Apple II that I had way back when I was a kid. I didn't have very many of them, maybe about half a dozen or so. But I did play the hell out of them, though, when I had them. So we'll just get started with the first one on my list is Ghostbusters. A David Crane game. This was also the only Apple game that I'm aware of that had some semblance of speech. But believe it or not, this whole little screen here goes through the entire theme song. You know, it's longer than the one you heard in the movie. And the words light up at the bottom of the screen as it gets to them, but I don't want to play this for too long. You know, I don't want to get taken down by Ray Parker Jr. and a copyright notice. So anyway, let's just yeah, I just wanted to show that off. So let's get going with this very slowly scrolling text. Yeah, come on. Alright, so you type your name in. And it asks you if you have an account. I'm going to say no at the start. I actually do. I've played this a number of times and have a number of numbers written down, but we'll get to that. What I plan to do is actually play through an entire session of this game, which should hopefully not take all that long. But if you are basically starting out from scratch, you start with 10 grand. You have 4 cars to choose from, and I'll just show you these real quick. Compact car. It can barely carry anything. It can carry 5 items of cargo, has the lowest top speed. The 63 hearse. This is the actual Ghostbuster mobile, so that is the one that we are going to be using. It carries 9 items of cargo, has a moderate price. A station wagon is also a pretty good value. It goes fairly quickly, carries more cargo, but we don't want that one because it's going to be a bit too expensive. And of course, if you want to go crazy, there's a sports car, which costs more money than we start with. So if you haven't figured it out yet, that whole account thing is basically New Game Plus. Once you finish this game and you meet certain conditions, basically you need to have more money than you started with, and you need to defeat the... Well, no, you don't actually have to defeat Zuul. But just so long as you have more money than you started with, you get an account number, and you can use that to start a new game with. So we have our car. We have $5,200 in the bank, and I'll just run through this equipment here. The PK energy detector, we're going to want one of those. That basically shows up as a timer on the bottom of the screen that increases over time, and it kind of keeps getting faster and faster. Once it gets to all 9s, then you are immediately taken to the center of the map, and you have to deal with Zuul, assuming you have enough money. The image intensifier, we're going to need one of those because otherwise the ghosts are literally going to blend into the background of buildings. It's just much easier in the long run to get that thing. This marshmallow sensor, what it does is it tells you, well, I'll explain that as we go, but we are not going to take one of those. It comes in handy at first, but we don't really need one. Ghost bait, I will also explain that. Traps, we want 3 of those. This is not any kind of expert playthrough, by the way. This is just how I tend to play, and it's what's given me the most luck. Ghost vacuums is for vacuuming up ghosts that you have frozen on the street. And if none of this is making sense, it will become clear very quickly. Lastly is a portable laser confinement system that costs $8,000. The reason I got 3 traps is because you have to return to headquarters to empty them out. This thing, I think, sits on the back of your car, and it can hold, I think, about 10 ghosts or so before you need to empty it. So you basically save time by having this thing and just one trap. And you can go around to maybe 10 or so haunted houses, collect all the ghosts before you have to go back to headquarters. But we're all fitted out right now. So here's the map. Here's me. GBHQ, that's our headquarters. You can see that there is a red flashing building that I'm headed towards. These 4 ghosts coming from the corners will kind of always be coming from the corners. They're going into the central Zuul building. And one thing I am kind of worried about is that this car noise is going to get incredibly annoying to people who are listening to this, because it really never changes. But again, this is an Apple II game. That's how they kind of used to work. And it pulls me over to the side automatically when we get to our destination. Alright, so what we do, you drop a trap, and I'll show you how what the game wants you to do. Is it wants you to do this. It wants you to face your guys inward. And of course, your trap will miss the ghost. And you can see the PK energy spiked up a bit. So what I'll do, this doesn't actually get you anything by tagging these ghosts here, but I just want to kind of illustrate the mechanic at this point. So we're down 1 guy, and we'll go ahead and head to this haunted house here, flashing on the map. You have 3 Ghostbusters, and you need a minimum of 2. So you can get slimed twice before you have to return to headquarters and get new guys. Vacuuming up these ghosts, by the way, does not use your traps. You can just get an infinite number of these. And I've always kind of wondered how that worked. Like, even when I was a kid, you know, like, where are they going? What makes them different from the ghosts that are actually haunting the buildings? I should also mention that I'm playing this with the 360 controller for all the much that matters, and I'm just hitting the A button. The Apple joystick that I grew up with only had 1 button, so nothing terribly complicated going on here. Now I'll show you how you actually want to catch ghosts in this game. You drop your trap in the middle here, and you face your guys outwards. And what you want to do is you wait for the ghost to... Oh, damn it. And of course I screwed up, but basically what you want to do is just ignore your proton pack entirely. Just, you know, point it away from everything and wait for the ghost to just kind of drift over your trap. And he has a distinct pattern that he's going to follow. And you learn to recognize it fairly quickly. So far I'm off to a pretty poor start. I haven't really accomplished anything. I only have $1,300. I need to make at least $10,000 before, in order to actually win the game and do something, actually get anywhere. Nothing is going on at the map. You can see there's also the Keymaster and the Gatekeeper wandering around. You can't do anything with them, they just wander around aimlessly, but here's a red building. As time goes on, as the PK energy goes up, you get more and more of those red flashing buildings, and the ghosts will move faster into the center of the map. And if the ghosts reach the center of the map, or if they slime you and escape a haunting, that makes your PK energy jump fairly significantly, a few hundred points. Now let's see if I can do this properly this time. Just wait for him to... there we go. I got about $700 out of that. The reward you get for capturing these ghosts is pretty variable. It can range from maybe $100 to about $700 or $800. So it's not any kind of constant. I don't know if it's based on timing or anything like that. But right now I'm just waiting for something to flash red on the map. Actually, I might as well just run the clock out a little while and just drive. You can see that the PK energy goes up continuously even as I'm driving. If there are ghosts on the map, though, they stay frozen, even if you haven't tagged them. back when I played this as a kid. I was playing it on a monochrome monitor, on a green monitor. And actually, since we're using an emulator, I can go ahead and do that. Hang on one second. Here we go. This is what it used to look like for me. And also, as a kid, I never clued in that the image intensifier would actually help me see the ghosts. But let's play it in green mode for a little while. One thing you'll notice is that you can't tell if the buildings are flashing red or not. But yeah, let me go back to color real quick. There was kind of a trick you could use if you were really used to the particular Apple green monitors, is that they would... Oh, hang on. See that red one there? Let me go back to green real quick. And you see how it's kind of moving back and forth? How the vertical lines are moving back and forth. So with the green monochrome monitor, you cannot tell, or at least I could not tell, colors, because, you know, obviously everything is green, but I could tell the colors were changing. So that's how I could tell that it was that these buildings were flashing red. Sorry about that mouse cursor, by the way. There's another game I have that relied entirely on color. Not color changes, but actually just colors. It was called Gumball, and you had to put different colored gumballs into different colored bins. And I'm kind of surprised I managed to get anywhere in that game as a kid. I mean, I only got to level 2, but still. I timed this wrong. He's moving a lot slower than he should be, but I got him anyway. Alright, let me stop these guys, go to that building up on the top. This is basically all the game is. And there is something to be said for a gameplay loop that is this simple. I mean, obviously these graphics are nothing special. Certainly the sound is nothing special. But I still find this game entertaining. And I don't really think it's just nostalgia. I think it's because the actual mechanics of the game are so simple and straightforward. And there is still some kind of element of luck or skill to it, in a way. And I actually kind of like that. But yeah, this particular building here, if I didn't have the image intensifier, and I also... Whoops, where'd it go? I think I took too long, as I was just nattering on about nonsense. Okay, this is perfect, because it's right across the street from headquarters. And I believe this is going to be our third trap. So if you just go across the street, you don't have to do this whole driving mechanic. In another playthrough, I used the station wagon. And that moves around a lot faster. I mean, you can't really tell. It's just that these road segments take a lot less time than they would in the hearse. Alright, let me try to do this a bit faster this time. And assuming he cooperates and actually goes over to the left. There we go. So now that I'm here on the map, I just hit down to point to the headquarters, and I'm just immediately there. So now all of our traps and all of our guys are reset. And we immediately get another flashing red building. One thing I don't really like about the early stages of this game is that it just kind of has a really slow... It's kind of a slow burn. It takes a while to get going. But once your PK energy gets up to a few thousand, then you're pretty much busy all the time. It'll also start counting faster as well. Because there will come a point when the ghosts moving into the center of the map are just moving too fast for you to catch up with, and every time they hit the center, that increases the PKE count. And so it just kind of snowballs from there. I think once you hit around 5,000 or 6,000, PK energy, things start getting fairly crazy. I also mentioned that I was going to talk about the marshmallow detector and the ghost bait. What the marshmallow detector does is once you get up to around 5,000 or 6,000 PK energy, the Marshmallow Man starts showing up, and all those ghosts on the screen, all 4 of them, they will kind of converge onto, I'll just clear them off the map for now. They will converge onto one of the buildings, and if they all get to that point, then the Marshmallow Man appears and he stomps on the building and you get fined $4,000. But if you have the ghost bait and you see them moving in that direction, you just hit the B key and they all flock over to you, and then they go back to where they were before. And you get $2,000 for, I think it's averting a marshmallow catastrophe, is what the game calls it. But I think you only get about, I want to say you get about 4 or 5 baits, ghost baits, and the Marshmallow Man can appear a maximum of 4 or 5 times. So if I just use the bait now, normally, all the ghosts will flock to me and they'll all just kind of get frozen. So if I start driving around, then I can, vacuum up all 4 of them at once, but the downside of that is that I lose my ability to prevent the big dude from stomping on some buildings. And, oh, hang on. There's a building right under me. You'll notice that these buildings are starting to flash red, maybe 2 at a time now. Alright, same usual strategy. This doesn't really vary much at all. It's still possible to miss your timing. Like the ghost can change his course at the very last minute, and that is incredibly obnoxious. But, crap happens sometimes. We're almost at 2,000 PK energy. I think maybe once we get to that point it might start counting faster. Oh, that would have been the perfect time to fire the trap. Oh! Whoops, well. Yep, like I was saying, so it goes sometimes. I still have 2 extra guys. So I should be able to get here. Yeah, I still can. This car sounds kind of like an old World War II plane. I mean, there's really only so many sounds that the Apple could make, really. I'm kind of surprised they got it to talk at the beginning of this video. The other cars, as far as I'm aware, don't sound any different than this. Even the high-performance one. So you notice the Ghost has that black outline around him. If we didn't have the image intensifier, that outline would not be there. And once again, he's not cooperating. He needs to go to the left. There we go. You can see the timer still going up. As you're waiting for the Ghost to get his butt over there, you're still racking up time on the timer, which is a little frustrating sometimes. But actually, no, I don't even need to pull out in the middle of the road if I haven't tagged any ghosts. See on the left side of the car the lines passing by? When I was a kid, what I used to do is I had this kind of almost OCD style thing where these lines would have to cover up this part of the... Yeah, I see they didn't cover up that little gap in the car. But It always felt kind of cool when they did, or at least when it worked out that way. Ooh, that was actually pretty lucky. It's like he almost glitched into my beam. That was kind of weird. Okay, I think my traps are full. Time to take care of those. Yeah, and you see the timer, it seems to be counting up a bit faster. And actually, there is something I'm curious about. Even though I don't have the marshmallow detector, I think I may still get the alert message. It'll basically just say, hey, marshmallow alert on the bottom of the screen. And we'll see if that happens when the time comes. There's no way to see how many guys you have available and how many traps you have available. You just have to keep a count running in your head. Which is especially difficult if you're using the laser containment system, because you can suddenly, you're driving around with one trap and you forget how many ghosts you've captured already, how many ghosts the containment unit can hold. And I say I think it's 10, because I'm not 100% certain on that. Oh, nope. One guy down. And you see as the ghost leaves, the PKE number jumped up as well, about 300 points. So assuming there's no haunted houses, nope, there's one up here. I was going to go down to headquarters and refresh my guys. That is something to keep an eye out for as well. If you don't have enough guys to go to one of those flashing houses, you will also not have enough guys to go to Zuul at the end of the game. It'll just end right there. And it'll say, hey, you don't have enough dudes, game over. So you have a total of 3 guys. You need at least 2. You have like 1 guy for backup. Which basically means at the end of the game, and you'll see what that is eventually, you have basically 1 chance to mess up. And let me get this guy over. Yeah, cool. There's something still satisfying about that. Don't know that I can really explain it, but... Oh, there's one right on top of me. Cool. Basically, we are halfway to our monetary goal, and actually, if we do this right, we'll pretty much have enough money to get to the end of the game at this point. It would be very difficult to actually lose, or at least monetarily. I could just sit on the map at this point and only respond to the Marshmallow Man events. But we just want to kind of make even more money. Because what I want to do, and actually if you sit all the way through this video, you'll get the account number that the game is going to award to me, with however much money I wind up earning. So, should you decide to play this game, you can just start using my own New Game Plus, if you so desire. Or you could just use Google. I'm sure that there are tons and tons of codes floating out there for this 25-year-old game. So I played the modern version of Ghostbusters, the one that was that had all the main characters from the movie doing voices for it. It was on the 360 and PC and everything else. What I kind of wanted... Oh, no empty traps. Okay. What I kind of wanted was, in that game, or at least on the 360, it had a multiplayer mode where you just did kind of random missions. There'd be these like random maps, you'd have various objectives you had to do. It was kind of cool. That does not exist on the PC version, and that really kind of bums me out to no end. But what I really kind of want to play is something like this game, something modern, but kind of like a kind of vaguely open world, kind of ghost busting game where you just drive around from map to map. And of course, it wouldn't be something as simple as just standing in front of a building. You know, there'd be a number of different maps you could play on, a number of different objectives. It wouldn't have to be multiplayer either. That's just something I really, really want to see, that I wish that somebody would come out with. But who knows where how marketable Ghostbusters are these days, or who even holds the licensing for it anymore. I believe the company that made the 360 and the PC game, I think they went under. Terminal Velocity, or Terminal... I want to say it's Terminal Velocity, but that can't be right. But, hey, here's the Ghostbusters firehouse without the sign. And, yeah. I'm actually doing fairly well here, I think. I know this may not be the most entertaining gameplay footage, especially if you grew up on more modern games, but wow. 3 blinking red houses. But yeah, I don't know, it's just this gameplay is kind of entertaining for reasons that I can't quite put my finger on. Could just be nostalgia, but I don't know if it's quite that much. I mean, there certainly is some degree of kind of reliving my childhood through playing these things, but can I get over there in time? Yes. If you miss any of those ghosts, by the way, they show up on the map where they were, and they start moving again. This game came out on a number of platforms. I'm only familiar with it on the Apple. And the Apple had a kind of quirk where the endgame was a lot more difficult than it was on other systems. I mean, this thing came out on the Atari, it came out on the C64, it came out on the Nintendo. It never actually came out on PC, to my knowledge, which is kind of weird in hindsight. But in all those versions, well, I suppose I'll talk about it once I get to the actual end of this thing, because at least that way there'll be some kind of visual aid to go along with my to go along with my my prattling on. Hey, no, you don't. Everybody freeze. Everybody chill out. Okay. Go up to that building. I am down one guy, and I think I have 2 traps full, unless I've miscounted. So after this building, I'm definitely going to have to go back to HQ. We are at a little bit over the halfway point for PK energy. Which is more or less the halfway point for this video. Or at least, so I would predict. Oh, marshmallow alert. So I hit the B key to use marshmallow bait, and the mayor gave me $2,000. So at this point, the ghosts are starting to move a little bit too fast towards the center of the map, and I'll really never be able to catch them all. But on the plus side, I have $9,900. I just need $100, well, $200, to have more money than I started with, which is the criteria for going into the ending of this game. Alright. Oop. There's a building right above. This is going to be the shortest trip ever because I moved 1 dot on the map. But, Yeah, it's always really convenient when you go back to headquarters and the building right on top of you is blinking. If you don't move, you can just hit the button and it'll just appear there immediately. Get to the right. Oh. Ooh. There we go. Sometimes I don't know if it's this controller I'm using, but it occasionally misses button presses. So I'm not going to be... So I will occasionally mistime my traps, and it's incredibly frustrating. It is also incredibly frustrating when I'm playing Dark Souls, where, you know, you think you rolled, but the game apparently didn't see it. This controller I'm using is actually a knockoff controller. It's not an actual Microsoft one, which may go a ways towards explaining things. Yeah, I tried to hit it. Oh, crap. Don't know if you could hear me clicking, but I tried to hit it twice in succession, and another alert, and it didn't quite work out for me. $6,000 or 6,500 PK energy. Yeah, these numbers really start ramping up as the speed rather, because the ghosts always get faster, and at some point you just kind of stop bothering with them because it's kind of futile. And look at how fast these guys are going. This is like that part towards the end of the movie when, well, I guess maybe the kind of middle act of the movie, when the containment system gets shut off and there's kind of ghosts everywhere running all over New York. Like that one ghost in the hot dog cart. Always like that one. Or the one in the taxi cab. Oh, marshmallow alert. Honestly, I could just sit here on the map and just hit B whenever those pop up and just kind of speed us towards the end of the game, but I want to maximize the amount of cash I can get out of this. Oh no. I want to be really careful towards the end here. Oh. Another alert. That might be the last one I get, or there may be one more. On the way to headquarters, let me hit one of these buildings. Oh god, 8,200. I have got to get to headquarters and get my third guy back. Hopefully this won't take too long. Oh, and of course he's going to hang out on the wrong side of the... Ah, damn it. Well, now I have to go back. Look at all these blinking buildings. Sorry guys, can't do anything. I don't have any dudes. Oh no. 9,800. I hope that I don't get interrupted as I'm refueling my guys, because that would suck. the counter still goes up even here. Okay, I'm just going to sit on the map at this point and just wait for the number to go up. Because there's... Okay. Go to Zuul. It just brings us up there. And here we go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat. Because I'm on an emulator, I can just create a save state here. And I'll show you why that is so important, because you only get 2 chances at this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try my best at this and probably screw it up. But what you want to do is, you see how he jumps at varying heights? You need to wait until he jumps above the door. But the problem is there's no real way to predict that. I think if I... Wow, I got one. See, I actually thought that he was going to land on me at that point because I was trying to predict his pattern. But this is kind of really a lot of luck. Nope. What I'm waiting for him to do is to do a couple of short jumps like that, and then go. Awesome. And that's the end of the game. Thanks to me, the portal to the spirit world has been closed. Now, if you, and you also get a $5,000 bonus, which seems pretty short change for, you know, saving the entire city. But we wound up with $23,700, and there's our account number, 67004200. And, you know, it says to write it down for future play. So if you guys want to play with that amount of money, and if you happen to actually have this game, you just put in my name, Shodan1138, and that account number, and you'll get that amount of money. Or, as I said before, you can kind of Google and kind of get the same result. And what I want to do now is I'm going to just reload that save state that I made, and I'll show you what happens if you screw up, because I honestly thought I was going to, even though I didn't need to. Okay, so I lost one guy, I have only 2 guys left, and you need a total of 2 guys. Basically, the upshot of losing is that you don't really lose. You basically just lose that $5,000 bonus for actually getting past him. So, you know, the game kind of throws you a bone, because that is pretty much a entirely luck-based challenge there. On the other systems, on the Atari, on the Commodore, and on the Nintendo, I'm pretty sure, he doesn't jump randomly. He has a distinct pattern that he goes on. And so, you know, it makes it much easier to actually get past them and complete the game. But anyway, that's pretty much all there is to show for this game. This is the bad ending screen. It has a lower amount of money, so if you want to, you know, back up a few minutes, there is the actual better screen. And you can kind of reuse these account numbers, or kind of New Game Plus if you actually want to grind through this game to get up to that high performance car, just to like dick around with, I guess. But anyway, that has been Ghostbusters, an entire playthrough. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.